Thanks for joining us on your Saturday evening. I'm Holly Emery. I'm the evening news anchor here, and we're going to be giving you a quick recap and just going to update on some of the news that's been happening around the metro today and what you can look ahead to for even tomorrow. So first off, we have a breaking news update here. One person is dead after a deadly single vehicle crash. It happened near the Park of Inverness Apartments on Ridgewood Road around 1:30 this afternoon. Jackson police say a vehicle left the roadway within the complex and struck a fence. Now, that vehicle was then engulfed in flames. That driver was pronounced dead on the scene. Again, this is a single vehicle accident. No other people were involved at this time. The JPD's Accident Investigations Unit and Jackson Fire Department's Arson Unit are investigating the incident right now. Anyone with information is, of course, asked to call Jackson Police. Again, their investigators are working on finding answers on what exactly happened this afternoon, and hopefully we'll be getting those answers later on this week. Now, switching gears now, we've had a very busy week, or a very busy Saturday here in the metro, and we're starting things off with the Mississippi Book Festival. Now, this is just over a decade where the book festivals have been held at the state capitol on the south lawn of the Capitol, and we can take you there right now. There we go. Now, Mississippians from all across the state came out this afternoon for Everything Books. The fest featured local authors who were out showcasing their writings and talking with like-minded book lovers. Not only were you able to take a deep dive into some of the novels, but you were also able to kick back and listen to live music, eat food from local vendors, which we always know is super good. Jackson's got some great cooks around here, and hear from award-winning authors during the panel discussions. Now, this free event had authors and vendors, and they set up on the Capitol grounds. This is for a very long time, for now 11 years, has been known as Mississippi's largest literary lawn party.
On Mississippi Street, we have got 20 different booksellers, like Myria Bookstores, our official bookseller for the day. We have local publishers, other bookstores from around the state. Then we have Authors Alley on Mississippi
Now, again,
Street.
I mentioned it
That is
earlier,
all of
there
our
were panel
self-published
discussions
authors.
held
We've got
throughout the
100 of
day,
those.
and there were 50 panel discussions that were held inside the Capitol for writing and workshop and genre discussions. So, whether you are a writer or a reader, they got to get a lot of discussion in at the state capitol earlier today. Now, I mentioned we had a busy Saturday here in the metro, and of course, your Jackson State Tigers were back are finally back at Veterans Memorial Stadium. The iconic Pepsi Challenge made its way to Veterans Memorial Stadium to join fans at tailgates and get them excited, of course, for the Jackson State Tigers to hit the field against the Tuskegee University Golden Tigers. Now, this is part of the Pepsi Challenge's HBCU tour. Fans could sip on mocktails and enjoy the live DJ, a photo booth, and chances to win free Pepsi Challenge merch. And of course, as all Pepsi products do, they did a blind taste test where fans could choose between Pepsi or Coke. And as they say, you should know the difference between Pepsi and Coke. And so these fans got to make sure that they had their Pepsi of the day. And JSU had no shortage of loyal fans out there to make sure their tailgates for the home games. We know Jackson State has a very good tailgating atmosphere, as you can see people doing all the games and dancing. Here's how some of them are feeling about the big support from a big company like Pepsi.
Great, it's great. We always enjoy coming in this area because you have so much to offer.
We're international right
And
now.
next, drink your Pepsi. Drink Pepsi.
We need all the support. This Pepsi talent, we in every game, and this will be national. Just make it, like you say, global, baby. We in. We all in.
Now, Jackson, of course, wasn't the only place that the Pepsi Challenge has been to. Again, it's the HBCU Pepsi Challenge. So they've traveled to 30 other cities this year. By the way, your Tigers dominated the field this afternoon, and they won that game 30-0 against Tuskegee. So a great win at home for the Jackson State Tigers. Now, while we're on the topic of football, we're going to switch over to Alcorn State. Now, Alcorn State's Sound of Dynamite marching band will be performing at the Saints game tomorrow. ASU made the announcement today calling all fans of the purple and gold to make sure that they watch that game tomorrow from the Saints against the San Francisco 49ers. SOD will be performing at the Superdome, so make sure you tune in to make sure that you can catch the Alcornites playing at the Superdome. That kickoff is at noon, of course, so make sure you tune in and you can watch that full game. Let me get back here. There we go. And Poof, Anae's here finally. I know everybody really comes to see you and talk about the weather.
Stop gassing me up.
She's right here. Anyway.
People like the football. It's Saturday. They're here for the sports.
I know.
We're here for the news, etc. But thankfully, we are seeing pretty calm conditions outside if people are heading out to enjoy just the weather or watching football games, whatever you're doing. You're seeing beautiful clear skies like this pleasant sunset outside Macomb and across central Mississippi. Hardly any cloud cover in the area. It's also fairly warm outside. We're still in the mid 80s for most spots. Temperatures feel pretty similar to what they actually are as well across the area, seeing mostly clear skies. Heat index values kept low by the dew points that we're seeing. Many areas were in the lower 50s earlier today, but a few spots to our west, or rather in the western part of our area, Vicksburg and Natchez, you are a little bit more humid, so it feels like temperatures higher over there. We are expecting to see a little bit more humidity building in during the week. You can see that on our moisture tracker. The green, it's kind of moderate amount of humidity, so dew points kind of closer to lower 70s across the area, possible for the early part of next week. But the main reason why I'm looking at the moisture tracker is because it's a good way to watch for cold fronts.
Okay.
Because you could see a stark contrast. And some models have been indicating that we could see a frontal system towards the end of next week. However, it's looking less and less. So I wouldn't say we can't just guarantee it because the models have been changing a lot. And when they're not agreeing, that just gives us a lot of uncertainty. Because sometimes a week out, you can see this stark contrast, run by run.
Right.
It's been going back and forth. So for some points in the day, some models will say, oh, we're going to be in the 90s for like the next 2 weeks almost. And then some will say, well, you know what? We have this cold front coming. Now, this contrast, it looked better earlier in the week, but we're still seeing some indications there could be a frontal system. But the strength of it, how much relief is it actually going to give us? Not much. That's the same story with rain chances. We see that as moisture starts to increase in the atmosphere, we'll have a higher likelihood of seeing some stray showers, still very isolated chances of rain towards the end of our next week. But overall, can't guarantee widespread showers, but we are looking at, when I showed indications of that frontal system that may or may not be moving through, we can see that change in our temperatures over the next 10 days.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm ready.
And it's still up in the air because that's why I was trying to say, I don't want to promise you guys that we're seeing a cold front because we just don't have the agreement.
We don't have the
confidence. Yes. It's possible though. It's likely that we could see this. We're going to continue to watch it though. The thing about 10-day forecasts is that they change.
Right.
Like the more days out the less confidence that it's going to be absolutely nailed down.
So that's why some folks will say the 7-day forecast and then the 10, but like, hey, you got to keep checking up to make sure it
Yes.
is actually what's going to happen. And you can't just look on Monday and think that's what's going to happen next Monday.
Yes, pretty much. Absolutely. And this is what we're looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Indications. The fall, not this upcoming week, but the following week could be cooler. That's what we are looking at so far. And otherwise, the only other thing to check, it's mid-September, tropical, we're still in hurricane season.
Mm-hmm.
In the tropics, there's a medium chance of development in the central Atlantic. Now, as we go throughout the next 7 days, we could see a tropical depression in this region from what was a tropical wave from Western Africa. Now it's in the Eastern Atlantic, causing showers and storms. We expect this to potentially form into something that we will have to watch because the track is towards the north and west. But if there were any indications that it even would approach the eastern coast of the United States, that would be the week after next. It's still very far out. So the long-term track of whatever this system is going to become, also not nailed down, but this is what we're keeping a close eye on in the Weather Center as well.
Right.
So otherwise, the first alert,
there we go.
Here's a 10-day forecast. I was going to say, I'm looking at the 7-day forecast. Here's a 10-day. I moved it up for some reason. We are looking at kind of the same conditions. We're not going to see much change until possibly next week. And that's when we're looking at the potential for a frontal system. But we know for a fact that the next couple of days, as we start off the work week, we're going to see pretty much what we saw this weekend.
All right. That's good to know. Now, I'm looking over here at the comments and we see Melissa Price is saying happy Saturday to us. So we're going to say happy Saturday, Miss Melissa Price.
Yeah.
And, our meteorologist Chase Franks is actually in the comments right now. Why did no one tell me about the book festival? I think
we did.
We definitely told you.
Yes,
but
we did.
You know what? But they did have some very hot weather earlier today. Sadly, it's going to keep going.
Yeah. But it's not unbearable. I think the silver lining would definitely be the lower dew points, like where most of us in the 60s, even some 50s at some point in the day. So it doesn't feel too much hotter than what it actually is. And it's kind of feels like a mild summer day instead of a early
It's just
fall day.
It's so hard for a lot of people because for me, I'm going to just say it. It's for me. It's hard because we had the beautiful fall temperatures for a while.
Yeah.
And now we're back and it just feels like it's hot again and miserable. But hey, hopefully when we got 8 days till fall.
Yes. After today. Then it's 8 days.
Okay. So we got technically 8.5 days till fall is here. So hopefully we'll see some cool down after that in October.
We could say it's almost like a last hoorah for real summer because we got one week left to be an actual summer and then it's astronomical fall. The fall equinox is going to begin astronomical fall.
Okay.
And we're just seeing I can't even say last though, because how do we guarantee that we don't see a heat wave at the end of October?
It really does happen like that.
It does.
All right. Well, you'll have to stay up to date with Anae on the weekends and make sure that if you're going to have a heat wave at a football game in the end of October on Halloween. But hey, that's why we're here. We're going to keep you updated. All right. Thank you so much for joining us on your Saturday evening. Have a great rest of your evening.